Hello, America. This is Call of Duty Goddess. Today is April 6, 2016. I have an article here from DC Clothesline titled Bundy Ranch Reporter and Political Prisoner. The only person to blame for the Bundy Ranch standoff is Daniel P. Love. Dated April 4th, 2016. Written by Tim Brown. It's of course about Pete Santilli. Oregon standoff Bundy Ranch reporter and Marine veteran Pete Santilli arrived at Henderson, Nevada Detention Center on March 29th to be arraigned on March 30th. Though Santilli has been arrested on obvious trumped-up charges, he remains steadfast about his decision to go and report on the Bundy Ranch siege in 2014. He also pointed the finger at Daniel P. Love, who was the lead investigator in a 2009 investigation which resulted in the wrongful death lawsuit with Oregon Special Agent in charge Greg Bretzing, who also led the Oregon standoff. Love was also in charge at the Bundy Ranch siege. According to Deb Jordan, who is the co-host of the Pete Santilli Show, Pete wants everyone to know that his resolve has not changed. In an interview with Santilli, he said, "When I arrived at Bundy Ranch in April of 2014, there was a clear and imminent danger and threat to my life and that of the Bundy family, who were protesting within their rights as given to them by God and outlined in the United States Constitution. It is now, as it has always been, that my testimony is the United States Bureau of Land Management, under the direction of Daniel P. Love, was poised in an aggressive manner, and having already displayed a willingness to physically harm the family and anyone who supported their protest, I believed my safety and the safety of everyone at the ranch was in question, and we were all in danger of losing our life. I never carried a firearm. I never picked up a rock. I never touched a federal officer, nor did I threaten to," said Santilli. Within the many archived hours of footage, you will be hard-pressed to see me or Cliven Bundy or many others charged with a weapon pointed at anyone. The only people pointing weapons at anybody when I arrived at Bundy Ranch was, as it has always been, the BLM. They can charge us with whatever they like, but it certainly doesn't make it so. Santilli even took the opportunity to speak with Daniel P. Love in an attempt to get him to reconsider what he was engaging in against the Bundys. And then you have in Oregon, when he tried to be a go-between to get the women and children out of the Moyer Wildlife Refuge after Lavoy Finicum's murder, because he just wanted to get the people out of there. He was then locked up. Let's have a look at that. Now, I'm at Mike Bluehair's YouTube channel, and here's a video titled Lavoy Finicum Murdered by FBI, Journalist Pete Santilli Arrested. Mike Bluehair does a wonderful job at reporting this, and I'll just show you a snippet. And of course, I'll leave the link for this video below. I'll leave it in the description box, but I'm also going to leave the link in the comments below too, because something's wrong with YouTube and none of the links that I leave in the description box end up working. So let's have a little peek at this.
I was actually there when Pete Santilli, one of the guys that was arrested, I was there with him. He was basically trying to talk with the FBI and the sheriff's department to come to a peaceful resolution. He went and approached the FBI compound last night, and I was also in the car with him when he went and approached the sheriffs, because the FBI directed him over there. And he was putting forth the idea of getting some people to come down to the refuge and ask people to come out peacefully, when all of a sudden the sheriffs just grabbed Santilli and arrested him.
I need to be able to go up there and talk to him and say, this is over, this is stupid, it's done, it's time to go. Okay? Gunshots being fired, that's stupid. Nobody wants that. Get you the fire, yes, right now. Yeah, I'm making a genuine offer here to go get him and the children, get them out of there.
Are you arresting Pete Santilli right now, sir? Of course I will.
I'm just going to document, okay? I'll stand back here at a safe distance and document them arresting Pete, okay?
Hey, stay in the car. Stay in the car.
If you need me to back up, I'll back up, officer, okay?
Hey, why am I under arrest?
Hey, you can back up.
Okay, sure. Just tell me where.
Back up to the car.
Okay.
Back up to the car.
Sir,
Back up.
put the camera away right now. Right now, please.
I'm documenting, sir.
Hey,
You need to go.
you can document from the car.
Okay, sure. I'll go into the car, sir.
All right, thank you.
I'm not going to put the camera away.
Any firearms?
No, sir. There's no firearms in the car, sir. Please don't aim the rifle at people.
So you saw that. You've probably seen the video before, and if you haven't, it's quite an eye-opener. Anyway, we'll get back to this article here. So Pete Santilli was trying to be the go-between and speak to the agents at the Bundy Ranch, as well as you just witnessed in Oregon. And, you know, they didn't lock him up at the Bundy Ranch, but they locked him up in Oregon for what he did at the Bundy Ranch, and he didn't do anything but tried to be a go-between. He tried to communicate with each party to resolve the issues at hand. It seems like the BLM, the federal government, Daniel P. Love did not want anything to do with that. It seems like there's an underlying agenda behind all of this, and we all know what that is. So let's go on and get a little reminder of what happened at the Bundy Ranch here.
Could I speak to a supervisor? I have an important concern. I'm not bullshit. Could I speak to a supervisor? Sir? Could I speak with a supervisor?
Get back! Please, get back! Get back now!
Just see a woman on the ground.
Back up! Back up! You're gonna get back! Back up! Back up! Get back!
Get everything recorded. Just stand back. Come here. Stand with me. You stand with me. Stand with me. It's the best thing you can do right here.
They throwing down my aunt, dude.
Listen to me. Listen to me. You stay right with me. You stay right with me.
They threw down my aunt. They
Listen to
tased my
me.
cousin 3 times.
Listen to me. You stay right with me, okay? Huh?
We got on video. Who's the aggressor here? Who's the aggressor?
Listen, let it go. Let it go.
Am
let
I
it go.
carrying an AR?
Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Dude, seriously. Don't give them the satisfaction of taking you away. All right? Stay with me. Okay? Listen to me. Listen to me. They're looking bad right now. Okay? Seriously. It's my family. Don't give them the satisfaction. I know that. I know that.
It's my family.
I know that.
Guys!
Listen to me. Dude, listen. Come on. Come here, bro. Stay with me. Stay with me. Stay with me. Don't give them the satisfaction. I know this is what it takes to go. I know you got a lot of emotion. I would do what they do it, okay?
I've had family members fighting for this freedom.
I know how they act though. They want nothing.
I've had uncles die for this.
They want nothing
This
more
is
than to
it.
take
This
it.
is America.
That's fucked up!
Listen to me,
This is
come
America.
here. Listen to me. You get on the record. I want you to talk to me right now.
Yeah.
Back up, okay?
Yeah.
I want you to tell the American public what you just saw, dude, all right? I want you to tell them. What did you just say?
Enemy aggressors. This is the road I grew up on. This is the road I grew up on. 1359 Riverside Road, Highway 170, Nevada. And I just saw federal agents throw my aunt on the ground. I saw my cousin get tased 3 times. I saw him pull dogs and sick it on a pregnant woman.
right now, just now. It's happening as we speak.
Listen.
Because we had a couple questions. I got hit by multiple vehicles because I wanted a couple questions. They hit me with their mirrors. I got hit with that dump truck.
And in case you haven't seen that video, that is from Pete Santilli's YouTube channel. It's titled Bundy Standoff, Bundy Ranch protesters tasered by federal agents and attacked by canines. And you witness none of those people had weapons. They were being attacked. So it's my opinion that Pete Santilli is in jail for documenting the abuses, that the BLM were the aggressors and everything. He documented it in Oregon. He documented it in Nevada. And it's my contention that that is why he's in jail. And I'll leave the link for this as well. And let's get back to the article. You witness what Pete Santilli documented. It's pretty damning to the feds. They don't like that too much. I never thought in my lifetime that I would see anything like this. But it's coming. It's here. And everyone needs to wake up. The Bundys, the Hammonds, they are a huge wake-up call to those who are still sleeping. Anyway, Pete Santilli still says he did the right thing, and my goodness, through all the people that call him an agent, through all the crap that he's been through by both sides, and he still stands his ground. I'm very proud to call him a fellow American, and I can only imagine what Deb is going through without him. I'm sure it's a heavy financial burden. You can write to Pete Santilli, and you can donate. I'll leave the link for this article. The address is right there. So this is just a reminder that Pete Santilli is in jail as well. This is Call of Duty Goddess signing off, and as always, I've got your 6.
Okay. It is. Okay, so I'm recording this, so it's March 25th, Friday, 2016, and I have a great pleasure of speaking to Deb Jordan from the Pete Santilli Show. And Deb, you and I talked a little bit yesterday, so what is going on with Deb Jordan?
Well, I did make it back to Cincinnati, and, everything is, it's different, and I'm adjusting, slowly adjusting. But, what's going on with me is just that, I take every day, one day at a time, and just kind of get through what I need to get through that day. I'm working a lot on, Pete's case, providing a lot of stuff for his attorney and for his defense. So as are a lot of other folks that are helping me out and helping Tom out. And that basically fills my day, I got the studio straightened out, and now I'm working on going to Vegas, Nevada, and to be there for Pete's hearing on April the 13th.
Now, that was another thing real quick. You said that you had the studio cleaned up back at your place, you and Pete's place, and I had mentioned earlier that I had watched that original video. It was, I believe, December 27th, where you and Pete were driving to do a call to action, which is when we came. And I asked you before about if you would do it again, and I know that's a tough question because some people ask me that too, if I would go again, and in the long run, I absolutely would do it again because, freedom sometimes isn't free, and we just saw what happened. But it definitely is unfair that we now have somebody that is a political prisoner that helped really get the word out, and now you're seeing things getting uncovered. So you just got back there to the to y'all's place, and you were describing how everything was still left from Christmas, correct?
Yeah. Well, let me answer your question for everyone about would I do it again. First of all, when we left here on the 27th, it was a call to a rally. It was not a call to take over a refuge. we had no idea that that was going to happen, as did most of the people on the ground there. We had no idea that that was going to happen. I have to say 100% for sure that if we had known that that was going to happen and that they were talking about doing that, we would not have went. That's just a fact. We would not have gone.
Yeah, I don't think anybody.
We would have been, we would have had, we would have been able to make our own minds up and our own decision about whether we wanted to participate in something like that, beforehand. We went there. We were going to Burns, Oregon for a rally to support the Hammonds. And we had heard that there was a little bit of opposition to it, but, we had not heard that there was as much opposition to it as there was. We didn't know at the time that the community, the whole county was split on whether they supported or did not support the rally. The rally is the most important thing here because that's what we went to cover. We went to cover that, and it turned into much more after we got on the ground. And we were put in a position to stay and cover the biggest story that was going to come out probably this year. It will probably be one of the biggest stories of the year, without a doubt. Or were we going to come home and just leave the people who did decide to do that? Were we just going to leave them there without anyone to report and to journal and to talk about the other side of the story that mainstream media, of course, would never talk about, right? So, if we had known beforehand that they were going to take over a refuge, we wouldn't have went. Of course not. But, after we got on the ground and they did it, how could we not stay and cover it?
Right. Well, it became a real lesson. Like I told you before, I would have never even met you or Pete or Ammon, Lavoy. I would have never met any of those guys if it was not for Pete. And I honestly would have never even started talking about the Constitution of the United States. I talk about it all the time now to people. It's just, it's become a habit for me. I've moved on from being upset, and I think that's what a lot of people need to do is we need to put our egos aside and just realize that we've been lied to, and that we need to re-educate ourselves. And I'm all about it, and because I learned a lot out there. I really did.
Yeah. Well, what you just said is that you would never have been there if it hadn't been for Pete. Is exactly the government's argument that if it hadn't been for Pete Santilli live streaming from starting on December the 27th, and actually before that, they're even saying before that when he had Ammon on the show, who was talking about the rally and educating the people on who the Hammonds were. They're actually throwing that in there. That if it hadn't been for Pete, people wouldn't have come, and people wouldn't have been talking about it, and it wouldn't have been the national story that it was.
Yeah, and
they're also accusing him of the same thing in Nevada. That because he live streamed it, and because he caught them doing terrible things to people, that it incited people to go there, and that's part of their argument here. And we have to defend an alternative media live streaming broadcaster now for doing the same thing that live streamers do all the time when they go to rallies and they go to events like that. And I've heard millions of people call for people to come to rallies and and things like that. And there's never been anybody, a live streamer, held accountable for people actually showing up.
Well, yeah,
So, and that's part of their argument. It's unprecedented, and if we cannot lose this. We cannot let the government win this narrative. We just can't let them do that, because it will affect everybody if they do.
now, is there going to be another rally in Oregon anytime that you know of?
Not that I know of. I know that I've heard several different things, but it's out there on the internet that they would be rallying throughout, the trial, and I fully expect that to happen. But there's nothing out there right now that I'm in support of or plan to be present at. I know that Gavin Syme is going to start a new thing. He's going out on the road. He's going to educate the people across the United States about what happened in Oregon, and basically what people can do to help.
That's great.
When the government takes such an intrusive stand against the people.
Now, the other question that was going around, since you had brought up the internet, before I forget to ask, someone had brought up that they were reading that Pete's charges were all dropped in Burns, Oregon, and that's not true, correct?
That's not true. Absolutely not true. Nothing's been dropped against Pete Santilli. And what did happen was that the judge finally relented. The judge, Anna Brown, who is going to be presiding over the trial, she ruled that Pete could be released to a halfway house in lieu of a psych eval, which is something that the pretrial folks demanded have happen before she even would let him go to a halfway house. So the moment she did that and released him to the halfway house, Nevada stepped in. They sent the prosecutor from Nevada to Oregon, and they did their pretrial hearing in front of a liberal judge for the Nevada case. The prosecutor was allowed to do that. It was shocking. I couldn't believe that it was even happening. But he was allowed to do that, and he successfully was able to get this judge, not Anna Brown, but another judge. His name was Jones or something like that. I forget at this moment. Sorry about that. But there's been so many different judges, believe me.
Oh, wow.
The prosecutor was from Nevada, argued that Pete was violent. He's the sole reason that Bundy Ranch happened, that he was the equivalent of Clive and Bundy hiring a hitman, that he, and the minute you mention the word guns or ammunition in Oregon, you can just about that they immediately equate that to being a violent person.
Oh,
and
wow.
so he was able to convince, he didn't really even have to convince the judge, actually. The decision was already made, in my opinion, before the judge even came out there and sat on the bench, that, Pete would be held in the Nevada case without bail and without any kind of pretrial release. So they're holding him in Oregon right now because of the Nevada charges. So when Pete goes to Nevada here in a couple of weeks, he will also have an appeal in front of a Nevada judge to ask for release and a pretrial release. So the charges are still very much active against Pete in both Oregon and in Nevada. It's just really complicated, and the government has made it complicated by trying both of these cases at the same time. Nevada and Oregon happening at the same time. I mean, for me, I think one or the other, could very well, be argued for mistrial because of the burden that they're putting on the defendants to protect themselves from the United States government. I mean, it's a huge undertaking.
Well, yeah, and and especially for someone like you on the outside too, that's got to do traveling, because you were saying before that you're going to go to Nevada, and then from there you're going to Oregon. That's an expense all alone, just driving people all around, like we were saying earlier. They're just racking up expenses.
Yeah, it really is, and I just don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm just going to have faith that it'll work out, and and I'll be able to afford it somehow.
So, and you are going to be going on the air here in the near future, you were saying too?
I am. I'm going to be going to. I'm going to be going to start doing Off the Hook as a solo project. Pete has asked me to do that, and I'm going to be doing that, as a solo project, and we'll be back up and running on YouTube. I'm going to be having guest co-hosts and things like that, so, it's going to be quite interesting, and it'll be, I think it'll be informative, and I think we need that. I won't be doing it every day. I'll probably just be posting up once or twice a week, going live once or twice a week with the actual format, the same format that Pete and I use together. It'll just be me doing it, but it'll sound the same, look the same. He just won't be there. You guys, everybody will be familiar with it, and we're just gonna take it from there. I've been working on it, and just getting right in my soul to do it. And it hasn't been easy. But eventually I will be doing that. Eventually I will. So.
Okay.
I know when I go to Nevada, I'm going to be getting some interviews with some people and taking the rig with me. I'll probably stream live. It looks like I'm going to be streaming live, just like we always have done. I'm pretty good at that. I know exactly how to get that up and going. So I'll be streaming live, doing some interviews there in Nevada. Maybe take a trip out to Bundy Ranch and if they will allow me, and get some interviews. Live interviews from the people out there, and and start covering it.
That's great. And also, I still have on here, actually, you can't see it right now, but the donations are still set up at the PeteSantilliShow.com/donate, correct?
They are. They are. And if people would like to see me in Nevada live streaming, and they would like to see what's happening there firsthand, your donations would help me to get that done and go a long way. So whatever you guys can do to help, I sure would appreciate it. Because I think that, I don't think that there's going to be any kind of uprising or anything like that. I do believe that people will be passionate about what the trial that's going to happen, and I believe that there will be people who rally. And just like they did when Mr. Bundy, Cliven Bundy, was arraigned there in Nevada. A lot of people showed up, and unfortunately, there was no live streaming, and nobody got it. Nobody got the other side. So I think it's important that we do that while we're there.
Well, yeah, and you got that going on right now with the Ryan family. That we don't know what's going on there right now. I know they're making a stand. I know that there was an article about they're making a stand that the arrests stop here, but
Right.
we don't get to see what's going on.
We have to remember, Dallas, that the family did come out later that day, and that's out there too. I know that when we see something like that, it kind of gets stuck in our brain, and we just, naturally or unnaturally. People don't pay any attention to anymore after they see something the first time. The family did come out and say they did not want physical presence there, that they had not come to that point yet, and that the sheriff, they were still in communications with the sheriff was still in communication with the FBI, and that for right now he was holding them off, and that he was going to be the one to handle this. And his goal is to get Jake Ryan to surrender peacefully.
Okay, well that's good. You know, that's what we need is more constitutionalist sheriffs around, or we probably could have saved 2 lives that with all that situation that happened at the Malheur Wildlife Refuge. Is there anything else that you wanted to say to anybody, and we'll wrap this up?
Well, I wanted people to distinguish and understand what this Sheriff Tom Rommel is doing. He there in Montana, in Sanders County, by the way, and I mean, he's handling this the right way. He's keeping control of his county, and he's keeping control of the FBI, and he's not allowing this family to be railroaded and steamrolled. You know, he himself is being active and taking an active role in protecting Jake Ryan and making sure that the FBI, handles themselves in a constitutional manner. That he is showing the power of his office. Now, a lot of people are speculating that the sheriff is going to cave in the long run, but we don't know that. And right now, I do know that the family is saying, please don't come here, and because, the sheriff is handling this right now. And the sheriff is protecting this family right now. And it just shows you, I want everybody to see the power that a sheriff has when something like this happens in a community. That the sheriff does have the power to say to the FBI, no, I'm going to handle this. And, and I think this sheriff is doing a good job so far. I think he's doing a great job.
Maybe we need to move there.
As I can tell. Right. And he's got the family. The family is being pretty confident right now. I mean, they're able to say to the sheriff, we don't want our son to be turned over to the FBI for something like this. They totally disagree with it. But the sheriff is not saying, this sheriff could do what Sheriff Doug Gillespie did in Nevada, or he could do what David Ward did in Portland, Oregon, and throw his hands up in the air and say, I don't want any part of this. I'm not protecting anybody. I'm just going to turn it over to the United States government. And we see what happens when that happens. So far, the sheriff in Sanders County, Montana, he's holding his own, and he's very confident, and he's not giving the government any power right now. So far, so good.
Yeah, and that's what we need all over this country, and we can get our liberty back. All right, Deb, well, I guess we'll finish this up. So if everyone could help Pete and Deb out, they really need it at this time at the PeteSantilliShow.com/donate. And I hope to see you on the air here real soon, Deb, and we'll keep in touch with you.
Yes, please do.
Alrighty, well,
always just a phone call away from you, Dallas. You know that.
well, when you come to, well, we'll talk here in a couple of days. When you come to Nevada, we'll see. I may come out there maybe.
Oh, that would be fantastic. I'd love to see you.
All right, Deb.
Yeah.
Well, we'll keep in touch with you.
All right, dear. Thanks so much for having me on today.
All right, talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Today is 3/31/2016. It's the last day of March. And Pete Santilli went before a U.S. magistrate judge here in Las Vegas, Nevada. So they're bouncing him back and forth from Oregon to Nevada. Who knows how long they'll keep him here before they might send him back to Oregon and then back to Nevada. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't know if the federal people know what they're doing. But today, as I said, Pete Santilli went before the U.S. magistrate judge, and she asked him, Pete Santilli, do you understand the charges that are brought before you? And he said, yes, but I am a radio talk show host. And that's about as far as he could get. Because remember, you can't talk too much to a judge. They'll gag you and bound you. So I guess Pete Santilli pushed it as far as he thought it was safe. And what he was trying to say, in my opinion, I'm just speculating here, but I'm thinking Pete Santilli was trying to tell the judge, what in the hell am I doing here? I had no gun. I didn't hurt anybody. I'm a radio talk show host. I'm a reporter. For God's sake, what am I doing here? Why am I in handcuffs? Why am I locked up? Why am I a prisoner? I mean, this is ridiculous. Now, you know the judge is not going to let him rant like that. The judge is not going to let him talk at all because we don't really have free speech in this country. Free speech is very limited, especially when you're in front of a judge. Remember, that judge thinks she's the king. And this whole situation is ridiculous. But something popped into my brain when I heard about this. When I heard that Pete Santilli had been brought down to Las Vegas and now he went before the U.S. magistrate judge and she told him, you know, do you understand the charges? Something popped in my head. Why is it out of all the reporters and the journalists who were out there in Bunkerville 2 years ago, 2014. Remember, that's what he's doing here. That's what the federales have brought him down to Las Vegas, Nevada for, to face charges, because what he did 2 years ago in Bunkerville, Nevada, and I ask, he didn't have no gun out there. He had no gun. All he had was his camera. And what I started to think was there were many other journalists out there. There was Fox News. There was InfoWar. I mean, there was other people out there reporting. Why are they not locked up? Why are they not in handcuffs? Why are these Fox News reporters? Why are they not standing front and tall before a federal U.S. magistrate judge in Las Vegas, Nevada? Something's not right here. Something's not fair. Something just doesn't smell right. I mean, take this reporter here. He works for Fox News. He's a lawyer who works for Fox News. He was there on the scene. He was reporting. He was mingling. He was there. Why is he not before the judge? Why is this reporter not locked up like Pete Santilli? This doesn't make sense. That's what I want to talk about. Why is it that they're picking on Pete Santilli? Is it because he's got a big mouth? Is it because he doesn't have any assets to protect himself? He doesn't have any assets to buy a big lawyer? Like, this guy's a big lawyer. Let's go to the next one. This guy, Megyn Kelly, even said, this reporter here, I forget his name, he just got back from Bunkerville. He was there mingling with the crowd. He was there. Well, now tell me, why is this reporter not locked up? Why is he not chained in a cage front and center before the U.S. magistrate judge? I mean, again, none of this is making sense to me. See, look in the back there, behind Clive and Bundy. There's the Fox News van right there. They were there. Fox News that was a big deal for Fox News 2 years ago. Fox News was all over this. So, am I making any sense here? I mean, does any of this sound logical? I mean, I know the federal government doesn't always think logically, but maybe Rupert Murdoch, maybe he's got something to do with it. Maybe because Rupert Murdoch is a big billionaire involved with the elites. Maybe that's why the Fox News reporters are not locked up in chains. Yeah, maybe Fox News is special. Maybe they can go and report on Bunkerville, but nobody else can. So is that what it is? It's about money. Rupert Murdoch has billions of dollars. He can buy pretty wives. He's in bed with the government. So that's what it comes down to. If you're a billionaire and you own the big mainstream media, your reporters are safe You can go to Bunkerville. You can report on the Bundy situation. But when it comes down to a little guy like Pete Santilli, Pete, you better stay in Ohio. You're not allowed to go to Nevada and report on the Bundy situation. No, Pete Santilli, you got a big mouth. You stay in Ohio. That's what it's coming down to. I mean, this is horrible. If this is what the government's doing, if this is what the federal government has planned for us, this is setting a horrible precedent. I mean, think about that. If you're poor, if you don't have any assets, and you're trying to scratch out a living as a reporter or something, and then you don't do what the government says, they put you in jail. But at the same time they put you in jail, they let Fox News get away with everything. I mean, this is setting a horrible precedent, like I said. And what we're running into is now we're talking about a war between the classes, which may already be here. We're talking about a war between the rich and the poor, aren't we? But hell, who am I kidding? I mean, think of it. It's been like that for a long time. I mean, talk to any poor person who lives in the ghetto. I mean, they've been pushed down, thrown through the so-called judicial system. They've been raked through the coals. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Yes, us Caucasians, us Europeans, we haven't noticed it as much. And now all of a sudden they put one of our journalists, they put one of our alternative media journalists in jail, and we're alarmed. Yes, we should be alarmed, because I'm telling you, it's setting a horrible precedent to put a poor reporter in jail while Fox News and the rich guys, they stay out of jail. And that is alarming. That's very alarming. But as I said, it's been happening to the poor people of America. It's been happening to them for a long, long time, hasn't it? Our poor brothers and sisters have been put in prison for just smoking marijuana, just about anything. So this is what it's come down to. The government persecuting the smaller alternative media reporters who don't have the money to hire a big-time lawyer. And this is bad. This is horrible. That's why I'm talking about it. That's why we're having this conversation. And when it comes down to Fox News, I've lost all respect for Fox News, if I ever had anything for them people. I mean, at one point in the game, I think they had everybody fooled. I think Fox News had all the conservative people fooled, but I think those days are over. I've lost all respect for Fox News, especially after Megyn Kelly has been attacking Trump. I mean, Fox News is now a joke. But let's get real. Fox News was not the only media out there in Bunkerville 2012, 2 years ago, reporting on the Bundy Ranch. No, Fox News was not the only one there. There was another reporter there, and I must tell you, this reporter I have a whole lot of respect for. He's an alternative media reporter, and I think he's good. I think he's very, very good. His name is David Knight. You know who he is. He's with Infowars.com. And like I said, I have a whole lot of respect for David Knight. He's serious. He's a serious man. He takes his job serious. He gets the job done. I like David Knight, but guess what? He was there too. So, again, I'm starting to wonder. This is about money, isn't it? Why pick on Pete Santilli? Because he's got no money, he's got no assets, he cannot afford a good lawyer? I think that's what it comes down to, the rich and the poor. Because even as much as I like David Knight, I like him. Everybody does. But guess what? He was there 2 years ago in Bunkerville. He was there reporting on the Bundy Ranch situation. He was all over it. Infowars.com, they were all over this. But they're not charged. None of those guys are sitting in jail like Pete Santilli. And you know what I think it comes down to? I think it's because Infowars.com, they have 1 million subscribers. I think they have backing by some rich people. I think they can afford a top-notch lawyer like this guy. You see, this is Fox's News lawyer, reporter lawyer. That's why they're not going to touch the Fox News reporters, because Rupert Murdoch has $1 billion. He can hire the best lawyers in country. The government is not going, it's not going to be an easy case to put a Fox News reporter in jail. But guess what? You attack little old Pete Santilli. He's got nothing. He probably doesn't even own a house. He doesn't have any assets. He cannot even afford a bad lawyer, let alone a good lawyer. So you see, that's why I'm speaking out, because this is not fair. When you have a federal government who is coming down on you just because you're poor, that's evil. That's not right. And as much as I like David Knight, why hasn't the government come down on David Knight? He was there in Bunkerville. I'm telling you why again. I'm not going to say it again. It's because Infowars.com can hire a good lawyer. They have a million subscribers. I mean, if Alex Jones wants to get on the bullhorn, sure, yeah. If Alex Jones wants to get his million subscribers all riled up and huffy and puffy, I mean, I think the government fears that. That's what the government fears, doesn't it? The government fears big numbers. And if Alex Jones and his big mouth and his bullhorn, if he got going with on the federal government, that's why the federal government is leaving Alex Jones alone and the InfoWars reporters. That's one of the reasons why they're left alone. And I can't help to think, poor old Pete Santilli. Poor Pete Santilli, all alone, no money, in prison, locked up in jail, all because he's basically poor. He's got a big mouth. He had a bullhorn against the federal government. And are we, the people, are we okay with that? Because if that's what we've come down to, if the American people are okay with the federal government putting a journalist in jail just because he's poor and he's got a big mouth, well, we're in big, big trouble. And if you happen to be one of those people out there who think I'm wrong, I want you to ask yourself this question. Would Pete Santilli be in jail today if he worked for Rupert Murdoch? Would Pete Santilli be in jail today if he worked for a billionaire? No, I don't think so. Because remember this, Pete Santilli did not have a gun. All he was holding is a camera. And quite frankly, I think the government is starting to think that the camera is even more powerful than the gun.
Okay, so it's March 23rd, 2016, and I am on the phone with Ken Rhodes. And Ken, you and I were talking earlier just about something else, and you said you wanted to do a quick recording about Pete Santilli, how he helped keep you out of the Portland jail. So I'm recording this, and I'm going to let you talk, okay?
Okay, Dallas. Thank you. But for all of you that get to watch this video and see it, I'm going to explain who Pete Santilli is. I met on the way to Burns Arch, and then Ben, the time traveler, we were driving in my car. We met Del and Pete Santilli on the other side of Chicago. Then we followed him all the way to Burns Arch, and we got there. We went for just a 2-day rally, so nobody had enough clothes. So after that, then I caused the camp out at the refugees happened, and everything changed. And Pete started covering it. So there's a guy named Michael at the same hotel we was. After we'd been there for like 30 days, almost 30 days, and Ben was wanting to get back home. So I talked to a guy named Michael from the Voice of Idaho, and he told me we got assets on the ground. Nothing's going to happen to these guys. You can go down and stay in that compound and nothing will happen to you. So I believed in the guy, so I said, okay. So I went back to Pete's room and I was telling him, Pete, I think I'm going to go ahead and let Ben take my car and go back to Portland, Oregon. because I know he's going to get back home. He's been gone, over 30 days from his family. I said, so I'm gonna let him drive back, and I'm gonna go and stay in the compound. Him and Deb didn't say anything. And I went back to my room, and about 15 minutes later, Pete came in and said, we need to have a conference, all of us. He had Ben, Ken, me, and Deb. I said, okay. So I didn't know what it was about, so we get on in the room. He said, look, I know things have changed up here. I had no clue that this was going to go on. So we've been here a lot longer than what we thought. He said, but we all came together, and I hope we can all agree today that we're going to leave here together. We're not going to split up. We're not going to do anything. We're going to all leave here together because we came here together. So I said, okay, that's all right with me. So I put off the sending Ben back and going down into the compound to stay with the guys. So by him doing that, excuse me a minute. By him doing that, I would have been right there with all the rest of them in the Portland, Oregon jail, because I still don't think any of them did anything wrong. At the very most, it was civil disobedience. In other words, when your government's not addressing your problems, people they take things in their own hands. And I admire all these guys, what they done. And Pete, only thing Pete ever done was his First Amendment, and that's what Pete's in jail for today. I know Pete probably better than most people ever knew him. I was on the road with him for 60 days. I was in Burns, Oregon with him for over 30 days. So I feel like I know Pete very well. So I just want to say that, and then I'm going to get into yesterday when Obama was in Cuba. He was telling Castro when he was making his little speech there, you need to give the Cuban people the freedom of speech so that they can decide this, they decide that. They got a real nervous clap. Them people didn't know whether they should clap for that or not, because, they do have a dictator down there. But what I would love to see Castro look him right in the eye and say, you talk about freedom of speech, Mr. Obama? How about in Oregon when you got 40, 50 guys locked up in prison, and you killed a guy up there, and you got a reporter in jail for free speech. So what are you coming down here preaching to us about free speech about? That's what I would love to see Castro told him yesterday, but that didn't happen. If it had happened, we wouldn't have heard it on the news, I can tell you that. But isn't it ironic that they can lock up Pete Santilli for freedom of speech? They can lock up the Bundys, and I'm not leaving anybody out. I don't know all of them's names, but I know most all of them. You're going to lock them up and threaten them with all kinds of time for actually camping out in what you call a government compound. It wasn't government. They're not allowed to own that property. So, I don't know. I'm having a hard time understanding all this, but we have lost our freedoms, and we're losing them much faster now than we have in the past. I mean, they're moving at round speeds to take our freedom away. And I want to encourage everybody that hears this today to at least write Pete a letter. I got to sit down and write him a letter. I'm not very good at writing, so I kind of put it off. I'd go to get a call from him, but I understand you don't get that many calls out, and Death takes up most of the calls. So he's got a great lawyer. And I will be going back to Portland, Oregon, when they do have the trial to testify for Pete. And I will tell them that he had no idea about that compound. And I'll say all this under oath. He had no idea about this compound and what they were doing. He was only covering it as a news reporter. So at that, I'll cut it off, Dallas. That's just a question you want me to answer.
Well, what is your thoughts right now with the Ryan family? You did hear about that, where the Ryan family, I guess, is saying that they're going to make a stand, and they said to end the arrest here. Have you heard anything more other than what we were talking about earlier about that?
No, not much, but I hope that sheriff stays constitutional up there, because I'm telling you what the FBI has done to the American people by killing LaVoy. And by putting all these people in jail, they're getting more blowback than they ever thought they would get. They thought they were just going to do this and it was going to die on the vine and everybody go on and live their life because it ain't affecting most Americans. So I admire this guy that's taking a stand against them up there, and hopefully the sheriff keeps backing them up. And I think his family is right when they said no more arrests. Enough is enough. We've had enough of the federal government, FBI, and the BLM coming in, stealing the ranchers' land, and saying, if you don't like it, we'll just kill you or we'll put you in jail for the rest of your life. I mean, and then we talk about other countries not having their freedom of speech. What the hell are we doing in other countries even bringing that crap up when we have no freedom of speech here in this country?
Well, yeah, and we also, there's been a few people that have been released already from jail, and some of them were actually armed at the refuge, and you got Pete that's still in prison who never was armed.
You know, Dallas, a lot of that comes from the Bundy Ranch, because I don't know if you probably wasn't watching it back then, I don't know, but there's a guy that worked for the BLM named Daniel P. Love. And he's the one, Pete got arguments with him because he actually wanted to kill everybody out there that day. I mean, he would have loved to kill everybody out there. This guy's got no morals, no heart, no soul or nothing. And Pete went after him pretty hard. So, in my opinion, this is why that they came after Pete, some kind of Daniel P. Love. So I think Daniel P. Love had a lot to do with Pete being arrested myself.
Yeah, and have you talked to Deb?
Yes, I have. I talked to her last night.
And how's she doing? She's doing okay?
Yeah, she's doing all right. You know, there's just a lot of things that's being done right now. You know, they got the union in Las Vegas, and they're going to be getting these guys, attorneys and stuff, the ones that sign up with them, because the union finally realizes if you don't stand up for these guys now, then they're going to come after them next. Because, you know, unions have always blocked the entranceway of federal buildings to keep federal employees from going to work. They've blocked traffic. They've always done all kinds of stuff to get their agenda heard. They did the same thing that they did down at the compound there in outside of 30 miles outside of Burns, Oregon. The union does that all the time, but yet they don't arrest them. But now I think they get by with this, they will start arresting when the union does stuff like this.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is how many more are going to be getting arrested here, because they're just going to start pulling any charges they can up on everybody, it seems like. I mean, you and I, they could start coming after us just for standing there with independent media.
Right. All we were doing was out there taking pictures and talking to people.
Right.
But in America, you're not allowed to do that anymore.
Well, Ken, was there anything else that you wanted to go over?
No, that should be enough. I just want to make that clear of what Pete did for me when I was out there.
All right, guys, and don't forget to help Pete and Deb out. They are still taking donations. That's correct, right, Ken? At the PeteSantilliShow.com/donate.
Yes, and I would say now they need it more than ever, because Deb's going to be going down. They're transferring all the guys now out of Oregon down to Nevada, and then they got to turn around and transport them all back to Oregon within 10 days. So I guess what they're doing is going down there and arraigning them, putting the charges on them down there, which to me don't make any sense. But that's what nothing the government does makes any sense. So.
Well, now here's another question too. If they're going to be going to Nevada, is there letters or where their addresses are? Is that going to change at all, or is it going to still stay with Oregon?
I don't know. They're only going to be gone 10 days, so I would say if you write one of them a letter, maybe they forward it, maybe they just hold it until they come back. I really don't know on that. Okay.
All right, we'll have to find out.
Everybody should be writing these guys a letter. I know I'm guilty because I'm not that good a writer, so I'm guilty of not writing. I'd love to go visit every one of them, because the far as I'm concerned, they brought a lot of awareness to a lot of things that's wrong in America. So they got the highest respect from me.
Yeah, me as well. It seems like people don't know what to do right now. People are just stuck. Like they're just nothing. It seems like, I know there's a lot of things going on, but it seems like in the Patriot movement, it seems like there is a movement. I know that there is good things coming, as far as I know. April 15th, there's a lot in the Patriot movement getting together to let freedom ring for tax day on the 15th. I do know that they did extend it to the 18th, but either way, I thought that was a pretty cool idea of a way to raise awareness, because it seems like you and I talked before about there is an awakening, but it's not happening big enough. It needs to happen a lot bigger and a lot quicker, because they're moving a lot quicker.
Well, the ones that don't wake up now, I said 2016 will be the awakening of the public, and for some of them it's going to be a rude awakening.
Yeah. Yeah.
They think because they're not bothering them that they're never going to get bothered, because they're not doing anything wrong. Well, he wasn't doing anything wrong, but the government decided he was doing something wrong. So where's he at?
Right.
You know, Alvin Bundy, Ryan Bundy, Ryan Payne, a lot of them wasn't doing anything wrong, but the government said they were doing something wrong. So it ain't whether you think you're doing something wrong now, it's whether they think you're doing something wrong.
Yep, they can.
It has brought a lot of awareness, and a lot of people know more about what the government's doing now than ever before, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But people better wake up and understand where we're at in this time of history.
Well, I do know one thing, like you were saying, this did raise awareness, what they did. You know, I know it's not by the millions yet, but this definitely opened some eyes up, especially in my age group, because I met a lot of people. You know, I wouldn't be talking to you or half the other people I've even met. I wouldn't even have a YouTube channel if it wasn't for Pete Santilli.
When you and your family first came in down there at the hotel, that's the first time I'd ever heard of you, and that was, as far as I'm concerned, that was a great thing. We got to meet like-minded people.
Yeah, it was. And now I did see, you know, believe it or not, they did bring people together. They have brought quite a bit of people together. So I know there is good things in the works, and I think it is great. But like you said, we can't forget about these guys, because they stood there and fought for all of our freedoms.
Absolutely. And Lavoy Finicum, they may have murdered him or assassinated, whichever one they want to call it, but his spirit rides on. And it'll be riding on for a very, very long time.
Yeah, he's a hero in my eyes.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sorry I cut you off there, Dallas.
So I wanted to do some research into the Nevada standoff because of that recent statement that the government made that Pete Santilli was Cliven Bundy's shill. And I wanted to better understand why the government would actually call him that, and if it was true or not. And I'm also going by what David Knight of InfoWars said. He seemed pretty adamant to agree with the government. And, you know, and I watched another clip of David Knight, and he seemed to smirk like he really meant it. So, it got me really interested. And I was able to find this article. And this article is extremely Well, the title of it is extremely interesting. The title is Secret Audio Recording from Bundy Ranch Reveals BLM Agent, Special Agent Dan Love, and Pete Santilli threatening each other with arrest over violations of the U.S. Constitution. And it is by Natural News, and it's from April 13th, 2014. I believe the recording itself is from April 10th. But let's see. Go down here, and they provide a link to the audio. And they say it is slightly edited for length, but nothing removed that's inherent to the conversation. And the article also provides a recording transcript as well. But let's go ahead and listen to the audio, and let's try to see if we hear journalism, or journalism with activism, or we hear something else. I've already taken the liberty of downloading it, and let's go ahead and start it.
That everybody's on to, I want to relay the question. You just respond to it appropriately. Where's the cattle? I know. Specifically, is it here?
No, we've got them. They're undisclosed. We got it.
Okay, why is it undisclosed?
Because we don't want to create a flashpoint for conflict. You guys have shown that this isn't about lawful demonstration. This is about
No. Hold on a second. Come here for a second. I got it. I want to make sure I get this right, if you don't mind. You want to avoid conflict? Okay.
You know, look, we're all about free speech. I mean, that's the same Constitution. The very amendment you speak of, we defend. So, you know, we understand free speech. We get it. But, you know, people holding rocks above their head to throw a police officer.
All right, talk our way through this, and I have to be the liaison to talk our way through this. We want zero, and I mean zero, conflict, confrontational, nose to nose. I mean, the conversations we're having, you guys are all freaking doing your jobs. You know, you believe you're doing what's constitutional. We're defending, and we're having a discussion, we're defending their rights as well. If we really believe that heavily in what we're doing, it's their rights as well. They have families, they've got jobs, they've got bosses that say you're going to follow orders. If they're unconstitutional orders, that's a different scenario. That's to be debated somewhere else. But we're going to have a face-to-face confrontation in the following fashion. For instance, I'll give you just a scenario. I'm not saying, you know, operationally what we're going to be doing. Let's say as a result of the media hellstorm, you know what's going on with the media hellstorm, right? We've had 20 satellite trucks already, and it's going to go tenfold. As a result of that, now we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and I think I've mentioned that this was going to be coming about, so hopefully you understand that I've seen this escalate to this point. Now we know we're going to get thousands and thousands of people. They're all in route coming. So what are we going to do with those people? Let's say, for instance, if the decision is made to line up in single file 10,000 people, and they come right here. One by one, everybody addresses you guys and says, let the cattle go. Are we going to be here screaming at you? You're going to be tasing? Is it going to be that type of confrontation? What we're trying to do is to completely de-escalate 100%. So I'm here to tell you this morning, okay, what we want to do to make sure that there's zero conflict, okay? We now have political support. And I mean big time political support. We have sheriffs, constitutional sheriffs. We got Sheriff Mack. We got Sheriff Mack coming out. You're going to probably need Sheriff Mack. I know exactly what it is. We have political representatives at the congressional level. Very familiar. Yes. This is what we're going to ask for. Yeah. What we're going to ask for, okay, to de-escalate, make sure that we're not in head-to-head competition with you. You're taking care of your family, you're doing an absolute right job, and we've got energy at this level. We're meeting with you, you're going to be in an uncomfortable position if you start, being belligerent, doing your job
to let you know, for instance, we're going to come here, and it's going to be non-negotiable, okay, as to the U.S. Constitution, what we believe in, and what we believe our political authorities and law enforcement authorities believe is the right thing to do. Here's the aspect of the case. If that situation comes about, we want to make sure that any individual is given that opportunity to stand down, as a recipient, okay, if you make a decision.
That's not. So here's the deal. So wait. No, I'm done here. So let me explain this to you. I understand where you think you're doing what's right. That Constitution you speak of, we actually have 2 federal court orders issued by 2 federal judges. If you impede or interfere, you will be arrested. Very clear. You impede, you interfere. With the U.S. Attorney, I got off the phone with Main Justice out in D.C. today. You impede and interfere, you will be taken into custody.
Okay, tell D.C. Justice this is non-negotiable.
And I'm telling you this.
Hold on a second. This is what's non-negotiable. This message that I'm communicating right now, or other things come about, if it escalates after this point, after what I've just expressed, okay, command that, okay, if you make the decision to not accept the fact that, we're going to try to get people help, that if you stand down and you believe that you're standing for the Constitution is the right thing to do, and you got a very nice lady that's standing here, and you're turning your back to the situation, that you're not going to lose your job, okay? But if you choose to go face to face and people get hurt, we're going to hold you personally accountable.
And I will hold you legally accountable. And I guarantee you that the Constitution is on my side, not that side.
That's not a guarantee.
I guarantee you.
But see, that's where, you know what?
I guarantee you.
I don't want to have.
I'm the one that is sworn in open office. And if I did delegated from the U.S. government, I did too. And I would hope that you would uphold that.
That's why. Well, we are.
That's why.
And it's not.
And again, that piece that you're talking about, that's in a court of law. You don't decide that in the dirt. You know, constitutions aren't decided on the dirt.
Tell D.C. it's a
legal decisions aren't made on the dirt. Sir, you know that. Lieutenant Colonel, you know that.
We'll talk about that later now.
Yeah, but you know that that's not where it's done, right?
Tell D.C. it's a
legal decisions aren't made on the dirt. Sir, you know that. Lieutenant Colonel, you know that.
We'll talk about that later now.
Yeah, but you know that that's not where it's done, right?
Well, let's put it this way. I'm not here to actually talk because that's his job.
Yeah, but there's a law. You will be taken into custody.
You're impeding with the U.S. Constitution.
No,
not impeding.
Mr. Santilli, I appreciate that. You're absolutely right. You can fight that argument from jail if you choose to take that action.
It's not going to be a fight. It's going to be non-negotiable term, peacefully.
Okay, and
if you bring violence,
I'm being very clear to what the terms are. I want you to hear me. If you interfere, you impede, you will be arrested. Are we clear?
Same.
Okay. Again, if you interfere and impede, you will be arrested. I don't know how you plan on arresting me, but good luck with that.
Well, there's going to be some law enforcement officials that are going to be going to jail if they're unconstitutional.
Okay, yeah, don't do that. That's not going to end well for you.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
I'm relaying the message.
That doesn't happen. And again, I've seen your numbers right now. You better hope that 10,000 show up. Because if you show up with those numbers, we got plenty of people here to take all those people to jail. So don't do that.
Sir, please, this is not, okay, don't challenge this.
I'm telling you right now, I'm telling you not to interfere, to impede. You're telling me you're going to show up and arrest officers? That's not going to happen.
I didn't say I was going to do that.
It's not going to happen.
If anyone is unconstitutional, does not follow and abide by their oath to the U.S. Constitution, they're going to be arrested, including the sheriff of this county.
Okay, well, you start with him. Go arrest Doug Gillespie. Once you accomplish that, you come back to me.
He will be incarcerated if he fails and refuses to uphold his oath to the U.S. Constitution.
You let me know when that occurs.
He will go to jail.
Okay, let me know when that occurs.
Okay.
Once that occurs, let you and I have a discussion about what the next step looks like.
Right.
All right?
We don't want anyone to be harmed. We're not going to come here aggressively. Okay? It's not under aggression. You can turn your back.
No one's turning their back. I'm turning their back.
You have the option.
No, you have the option not to create a conflict. And I'm telling you right now, I'm putting you on warning. Okay? You on warning as the messenger. If you violate, you impede, you interfere with 2 lawful court orders, you will be prosecuted, you will be arrested.
They're unlawful court orders.
Sir, again, I appreciate that. You are not a judge, you are not a lawyer.
But me personally, if I was going to be that person that you would be addressing, if you believe that I'm impeding, okay?
You can,
I would be willing to
you lawfully go into custody under the Constitution. You can go before a federal magistrate, and you can argue your case about the lawfulness of court orders.
I did not come here to do anything but to give you the opportunity to prevent a scenario where you're going to make a decision that causes harm to people.
Again, that decision will be made by your supporters in that camp.
Your presence has incited.
No, our presence, we're lawfully here. Look, you see all these signs? You're in a closed area. You're on federal land. You don't have to like it. It is the law.
It is not federal land.
It is federal land.
You think so?
I am positive.
I'll bet you lunch.
Mr. Santilli, if you were right, I wouldn't have a job. So you know what? Be right, get it changed, and then I'm happy not to wear this little gold shield that I have on my head.
You're managing it.
Again,
you're not the owner of the land.
Go get Gillespie. If that is your theory,